We've come up with a manifesto that we hope the non-BN parties will embrace, and equally we hope the rakyat, civil society, NGOs, NGIs will also find workable, by which perhaps we can build a huge coalition comprising non-BN parties and civil society. And let me just quickly share the manifesto with you. Ending the marginalization of all human beings. Now, I emphasize all human beings because we have a huge migrant community in Malaysia, and they have contributed to the building of the nation. So, one, to end the marginalization of all human beings. When? Through the 13 GE. How? Seizing federal power. And again, this has to be at the 13 GE. And through the 13 federal government, implement and execute what we have called now the Rakyat Reform Agenda. Now, let's be honest. No one political party can take on BN. That's a giant. I mean, with their machinery, with our money that they've taken, we can't match them. No one single party can match them. But a coalition that is working together with the rakyat from now just might be able to. And it is with that in mind that MCLM has, over the last few months, been outreaching to the non-BN parties to say, can we take this as a common agenda? Can we take this as a common mission? We will soon also be reaching out to the NGOs. And we are hoping to very soon host what we call Congress Rakyat, to try and bring together the political parties that have indicated their interest, and to see if we can get the NGOs and NGIs also involved. Now, you can take Putrajaya by a slim majority post 13 GE. My concern and my paranoia is this: 3 days after the new Prime Minister is sworn in, BN puts 2 billion on the table and we see a frog festival all over again. Now, the only way we think that might be overcome is to try and get into Parliament a flank of individuals whose integrity is beyond question. Is beyond question, and in this regard, we have begun to appeal to individuals who we recognize as being such, to say, can you do 1 term of national service in Parliament? If you can get 10 people in there, and if the opposition parties are not too careful in their selection, and if say 5 hop, that 10 might still keep the new government intact. Now, there's no magical formula to this. You know, you could pick 30, get 30 in, and if the opposition parties aren't too careful, and if 40 of them cross, the government collapses. But we can only try. We can only try, and that's what we're doing. We are appealing to individuals whom we know and whom we think have the caliber, the credentials, and most important, the integrity to offer themselves for a term in Parliament. And I can tell you, it's a tough job. It's a tough job persuading them, because they'll come up with 3.5 million reasons. My mother don't want, my wife don't want, you know, a whole host of things. But we will continue to try. Now, that's with the objective of ending marginalization. The game plan is to take federal power. What's the Rakyat Reform Agenda? Because that's the whole game. That's the whole game plan. I personally, I'm tired of year in, year out seeing political party manifestos. I've got enough to do to wallpaper my rooms. That's all we have. We've had manifestos, but very little of implementation. Now, for that reason, what we've done is we've got a team that includes Malik Imtiaz, who are drafting the intended legal reforms. Now, bills. Give you an example. We've been pushing for the abolition of the ISA, OSA, PPPA, the whole range of draconian laws. Now, we don't want, assuming we are successful in getting a new government in, we don't want them to say, yeah, Attorney General is drafting it. And 1 year later, they say they're still drafting it. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to have those bills ready. And we are going to get these parties to pledge that if we are going to work with them, they will, if they form the next government in the first sitting of Parliament, make the priority the tabling of these bills. All right, so we don't wait. We don't wait. Now that's insofar as the draconian laws. I was chatting with some of you outside. The matter of Sabah and Sarawak and the Malaysia Agreement of 1963. Clearly, the people of Sabah and Sarawak have been shortchanged because the terms of that agreement have never been honored. Now, we think it is imperative that the new government coming in establishes a Royal Commission of Inquiry to look into the Malaysia Agreement, to advise His Majesty what precisely His Majesty and us, because we've all been kept in the dark, His Majesty and us as to the very terms of the Malaysia Agreement, and to advise His Majesty as to how those terms may be given effect to. In short, we think at MCLM, we should honor the agreement that our forefathers made in 1963. And if Sabah and Sarawak were intended to be equal partners with the Federation of Malaya in the new Federation of Malaysia, then that should be honored, both in spirit and in letter. Now, the most significant reform that we are pushing is what we call the social inclusion agenda. We have a team led by Mr. Jayanath Appadure, an ex-civil servant, who are drafting a very comprehensive program that we hope might take the place of the NEP. Now, the NEP has failed for a number of reasons. All right, you still have this disparity. You have this identification of vocation with ethnic groups. The gap between the haves and the have-nots has gotten even worse. And it's all down to a system that on paper looked good, but in its implementation went terribly wrong. This social inclusion agenda, we are actually hoping to get our independent candidates, as they go to ground in the run-up to the election, to implement in the impoverished areas in their respective constituencies, so that, in a sense, we have a showpiece. We have a showpiece of what a federal government committed to ending marginalization might be able to do at a federal level where it has the resources at its disposal. Okay, now that in essence is where MCLM is right now, back home. We have established our secretariat. This is in Taman Desa, for those of you who still remember where that is. We have volunteers who essentially run the office. Nobody's on salary. To strengthen the rakyat, who we hope are slowly waking up to the need to take responsibility for what's happening in the country, we will be launching very soon what we call Citizen Empowerment School. It's a six module training program over 2 weekends. We hope, and this is open not just to members, it's open to any Malaysian citizen. The idea is this: we hope that once you've completed the 6 modules, you go out as an effective agent of change. Amongst other things, we will be training them as polling agents, counting agents. They will go through a training program. They will go through a 1-day anti-discrimination workshop. We hope that by the time they come out, they understand that the whole objective in the establishment of this country was this: to establish one people, one nation, all equal. That this concept of Bumi, non-Bumi, was some innovation that came in along the way by politicians who saw it expedient to see their own ends through. And we hope that these citizens who go through this 2-day program come out, each one understanding and realizing that, look, I myself can do a little bit. And it all adds up. It all adds up. It all adds up. We we need the help from Malaysians overseas. You can give us moral support. I'll give you a simple example. Every time there's an ISA demo in Trafalgar Square, the world at large knows what's going on at home. Now, can you imagine as Raja Petra goes on his whirlwind tour and sets up MCLM chapters in all the major cities? Can you imagine if we had an anti-ISA demo in all the cities simultaneously? I think that's a very strong persuasion to the government to rethink some of the draconian laws that we have on our statute books. I'm going to stop here, and maybe we can field questions. Thank you.